Hello, good afternoon or good morning, and thank you for joining us for the Dawn Foods Sweetest Bakery in America, United States, and Canada winning webinar. So my name is Melissa Trimmer, and I work for Dawn Foods, and I just want to congratulate you on coming to this step. This is such an exciting thing, and we're so excited that you're here with us today. So first of all, who is Melissa Trimmer? Who am I? So my name, like I said, is Melissa Trimmer. I am a certified executive pastry chef through the American Culinary Federation, and I'm Dawn Foods' corporate executive pastry chef. So I have been in the business since I was 14 years old, like many of you have, and spent a lot of time in fine dining. I trained in Europe and did the whole Michelin-starred restaurant thing. And today I work for Dawn Foods. I help them develop some of these products and write the recipes and applications that you see on our website, in our marketing materials, and that our sales team uses. So any questions, just let me know. We're coming to you live today from the Innovation Studio at Dawn Foods. So our innovation studio is a state-of-the-art facility in Jackson, Michigan. We have lots of amazing places here. We have a full R&D lab where our team creates the next generation of Dawn ingredients. We also test those ingredients for quality and make sure that they're just right before they come out to you. This is also the place where we shoot all of these amazing things. So if you've seen our Batter Up magazine, we have created those products here and we have shot them here for you. In addition, we see our customers. So the top winners from United States and Canada will have a trip here at the Innovation Studio here with me and the culinary team here, and we can't wait to see you. So everything you see here today is either a Dawn Foods product. We either make it or we sell it. And all of the recipes can be found in a couple of our guides. So this first one here is our Inspired by You Cake Co-Creation Guide, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. The rest of the recipes are from our Winter Inspiration Guide. Now, if you don't have one of these in front of you, there is no worries. You can find it on our website. So www.dawnfoods.com/recipe. Not only can you find all of the recipes I'm going to show you today, but you can find any of the other recipes we've created on there as well. So perfect for your bakery, restaurant, hotel. You'll be able to find lots of solutions for the products that we make there. So before I get too far into this today, yes, it's a webinar. No, you can't speak to me, but as I'm working today, if you have a question or a comment, you can type it right in and the team here will get it and read it back to me and I will be able to answer you in real time. So if I'm doing something and maybe I move a little too quickly or you'd like to see it again, let me know. Or if you have any questions, just type it right in and we'll get right to it. We'll also have a little bit of time at the end for questions, just in case I missed something as we went through. Now, as we move along here, you may see a random set of hands floating in and out. I promise it's not a Halloween ghost. It's one of actually my amazing assistant, Danielle. You can't quite see her, but maybe she should come over and say hello. So when you see Danielle, she's part of the culinary team here at the Innovation Studio, and she'll be handing me products all day today. So now you've all become friends. Great. So the products that I'm showing you today are going to kind of move through the fall and winter season since we're in the middle of fall right now. So I'm going to start out with a pumpkin spice latte cupcake, seeing as we're right in the middle of pumpkin spice season. Then we'll move into Christmas. We'll do a few Christmas cupcakes. After that, we'll do Hanukkah. We know that Hanukkah and Christmas aren't always right at the same time, but that's okay. We're going to do all the cupcakes first, then the cake pops. And we'll finish up with a New Year's Eve cake that's suitable for New Year's Eve and also for Valentine's Day. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of get started here. So you can see in front of me all these cupcakes. So these are made with our Inspired by You coffee cake mix. This was a cake mix that we actually developed with some of our best baker partners. We decided that we wanted to have more cake mix flavors, and we decided that who better to decide what they are than Dawn customers. And so we brought them into the Innovation Studio and they worked on 3 amazing flavors. This is just one of them. This is coffee. So these are a 1.5 ounce deposit. I used a blue handled 2 ounce scoop to make these. And the liners are the classic liners from DDA. So this is the bottom. Next to it that we will be putting on the top in just a moment is our pumpkin cream cheese filling. So while this is a limited time offer, you can get it from Dawn Foods through the end of November. I use it for a topping and a filling. It's super delicious. It tastes kind of like a pumpkin cheesecake, except for it's a little creamier, and it can fill your donuts. It can go on cakes, can do really whatever you like. So we're going to top our cupcake with this to make the latte and the pumpkin. And last but not least, we're going to use our Dawn Exceptional cream cheese icing. And this is kind of supposed to be the froth on the top that should taste really good and kind of make you think of maybe a latte. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my filling on. Now I've used a large straight tip, as you can see. I'm going to hold it straight up and down and give you a nice little kind of topper. So we're going to add some more tops to these in a moment, and I'm going to quickly pipe all of them. So again, we're putting all of our pressure in the middle and stopping the pressure at the end. One of the things that can be hardest about decorating is making sure that you don't have these kind of lips at the end. Now, if you do, there's no worries. I'll show you how to fix that. But we're just going to put really pretty little circles on it. Now, if you're starting to run out like I am, I suppose you could refill, but I'm gonna take my chances with this and try to get to the end. Yep. All right. If we have these little lips like this, I don't necessarily want to touch it because I'm gonna get it on my finger and I'm gonna make more little stops. So you can wet your finger lightly and tap it right back down. So yeah, just like that. See, if you touch it, you got to do it again. Next thing I'm gonna do is use a closed star tip to do the next part on it. And in this case, I want it to look like whipped cream that came out of a canister at a coffee shop. So instead of going around and around and around and doing a rosette, I'm going to move back and forth. And then this way, it comes out like whipped cream. Now, a little bit later, I'll show you how to do this also with a Russian ball tip, which is one of my favorite tips to use on cupcakes. But really, I want this to look like whipped cream. And the nice part is that unlike whipped cream, this cream cheese icing will sit in your bakery shop all day and it won't melt or weep or get funny. So as you can see, they're really pretty cupcakes. So everything I'm showing to you from our inspiration guides should be decorations that are pretty and impactful, but they should be fairly easy and shouldn't take your bakery a ton of time to do them, and stick with seasonal. As we know, pumpkin spice season is everywhere, so it's nice to have something in the, oh, there we go, in the display case that showcases that. And again, these look like pretty little lattes. We have done these before. I think if you look at the inspiration guide with a brown liner rather than a white liner, and the brown liner can look really nice. It can look like a cup. If maybe your bakery has a coffee cup that has a certain to-go color, do the liner in that color and it'll look just like your coffee cup and be super cute. So as we're finishing up here, all right, we've got the last of our icing on. Once that is on, we are going to hit it with just a little bit of cinnamon. This is our DDA cinnamon. So we sell this as courgette. I think we sell it in 10-pound packs. I like to put it in these little treasures without the sugar. I don't think you need it. I think it sprinkles nicely without the sugar, and then the sugar won't get all melty. I mean, sugar by its nature is hygroscopic, right? Hygroscopic meaning that it absorbs water. And in this case, then I don't have to worry about my cupcake weeping pretty much ever, just the cinnamon. So here are my garnish. These ones are actually not chocolate covered espresso beans. I hope you can see these. You know, we always think chocolate covered espresso beans are going to be a good idea until you actually eat it and realize that it's not very fun to eat a coffee bean. They are kind of crunchy and gross, but you think it's a good idea. So these we sell from Dobla. These are actually coffee flavored chocolate. So they taste really delicious, just like coffee, and you won't get the weird, gross coffee bean afterwards. So anyhow, so we're going to kind of put these on here and there. So some are going to get my little beans just as a flavor cue. That's what my marketing friends call them, flavor cues. I never heard that when I was in bakeries. I was just like, I don't know, it's how we tell what it is. But, but that's what we call them, flavor cues. So we're going to toss them all around. On some, not every one of them. And on the other ones, we can go ahead and put cinnamon sticks. And this way, then, you've got kind of some differentiated items in the case. Yes, I can absolutely do one on the stand. So if, in case you're wondering, I have people here talking to me if they can't see things. So here we go. We've got one here and one here if you'd like to see how they look at the end. We'll put another one like this. And another one here. And you can see how quickly I decorated 12 cupcakes. That was pretty darn fast. And the hope is that this will be a great solution for your bakery for the fall time as well. So I'm going to place a couple of these in the front. The question is this a cinnamon stick? And the answer is yes, it is a cinnamon stick. So today I'm using cinnamon sticks. I believe in the inspiration guides, we also use straws. So you can use like a really pretty like orange colored straw to kind of flavor cute pumpkin. You can use a cinnamon stick, really whatever you like. I think it's really a straw or a cinnamon stick is the nicest way to do it. All right, can we see those cupcakes guys in the front? Yep, perfect. Okay, so that is our 5-minute pumpkin spice latte cupcakes. All right, we're gonna hand them to Danielle, and then we're gonna move into Christmas time. So going from Thanksgiving and fall right into Christmas time. So this next batch of cupcakes, I used a different cake batter for. These ones I used our R&H spice cake batter. I really like that one. It's light, it's spicy, it's delicious. If, however, you're like, you know, I want to bring another mix into my bakery, I have enough, you can use our Baker's Request high ratio vanilla cake mix and you can spice it yourself. You can use a pumpkin spice pre-done mix, or you can fold in cinnamon, ginger, allspice, and nutmeg and still get a really beautiful spice cake. So whatever works best for your shop, just fine here. All of the cupcakes are that same deposit I talked about, 1.5 ounce deposit in a classic cupcake pan with a blue handled 2-ounce scoop. So this one, we are gonna do our gingerbread cupcake. So I used the spice cake, so I didn't have to make a separate gingerbread. If you really wanted to darken it up, you could fold a little molasses in, but I think they're really delicious, just like that. And the rest of our garnish, we're gonna have just a simple vanilla buttercream. This is gonna be our Dawn Exceptional Rich Taste Buttercream. It's good as is. And then my other garnish, and again, you'll find these in our holiday guide. These are our little Dobla chocolate gingerbread men, and they are darling and we love them. So those are going on, and we are also going to put on our Carrie Christmas non-pearl sprinkles. So those are what is heading on here. Now the big thing with these is that I want to make a really kind of tall swirl to match my other cupcakes, and I'm doing it in a slightly smaller open round tip because I want to be able to see the rows. And the way that I do that is not by swirling all the way up, because this tip is small enough that I'm going to have negative space in the middle. So I need something to support the inside of that icing. And the way that I'm going to do that is by coming around the edge, going in the middle, and then bringing it right back around. And in this way, I can create this really beautiful tall cupcake that we can then sprinkle. And I'm going to have Danielle come over and sprinkle with me. So I'm going to make a cupcake. She's going to sprinkle it. You have to put the sprinkles on while the buttercream is still nice and soft before it sets up, and then it gets a gingerbread on top. Why don't you just set them up there when they're ready? Okay. So that's the key. If you don't have a handy dandy assistant like I do standing next to you sprinkling, just do like 4 or 5 and then stop and sprinkle. You can put the toppers on whenever. Those can kind of be on whenever they would like to be. But if you don't, if you wait till the end, it won't be well. In fact, we tried doing that. We've tested it a couple of different ways. And what we found is that when we waited too long to put the sprinkles on, we ended up getting 1 or 2 sprinkles at the top and nothing that stayed on it. And we really kind of want to get that Christmas spirit by having all the pretty colors on it. So I know that when we learned how to pipe, that no one ever says to fill up the middle, but it does help. And you get these really kind of gorgeous little toppers then. So again, we're going to make these cupcakes as quick as we can. I may just do 6 for you here. Any cupcakes that I'm decorating today are also behind me, so you should be able to see them there as well. And we can do 1 more here, and then I think we'll switch to the next variety. There we go. All right. I'll do this one for you as well. So. And the gingerbread. I love these little guys. And those are also in our holiday inspiration guide. I'm sure I've been telling you, but I just love these. Okay, so that's the first of our Christmas cupcake trio. The second one is going to be like little Christmas trees, little Christmas trees. So these ones have our Baker's Request devil's food cake in it, so it's our high ratio. And I did use a brown liner on this one, and I did that because I want this to be the bottom of the tree. And if I put a white liner on there, it'll work. You'll still see the chocolate brown on there, but Christmas trees have brown bottoms, so that's where we went with that. Now the tip I'm using here is something called a Russian ball tip, and there's lots of different kinds of ball tips. This one for a cupcake I like because it has an open spot here, and then we've got the little spots around here. So ball tips kind of work a little differently than a regular tip does. I filled it with the Dawn Exceptional, the Dawn Exceptional Emerald Green icing, so I didn't have to color it. I can just use it right out of the tube. And so let me just kind of show you, if I were to not use it correctly, you can put a Russian tip on and go like this and pull it up. And that looks great for carnations, not great for a cupcake. So let's do the right way. So for a cupcake, instead of doing it like that, we are going to, just like I did with the pumpkin spice, back and forth. So we're going to go back and forth like this, slowly bring it up, and then we have this really pretty Christmas tree. So once again, Danielle's going to jump in with me here. And these sprinkles I have are Into Food sprinkles, and they're supposed to look just like Christmas tree ornaments. So we have some red jimmies that comes pre-mixed for you, some little Christmas trees in it, and some little white balls. So it should look when it's done like a decorated Christmas tree. And I'm topping it with a Dobla chocolate star. So super cute Christmas tree cupcakes. Yeah, I'm gonna decorate some more on this stand. So just so you guys are knowing, my team here is saying leave one there, so we will leave that one there then. Does that work? Okay, great. All right. So Danielle will kind of continue to decorate as I move here. But the key with these is the back and forth motion with the wrist, and it can feel odd when you've spent your entire career swirling and making rosettes, kind of switching it up a little bit. But these cupcakes are super cute. And like I said, the big difference is that if you look down into the top, can I see the top of this, guys? You can see that there's a little space in the middle. Some Russian tips do not have an open spot here. So it'll be completely hollow all the way through. And that's great to put something like a gumball in or a decoration that you want to stick up. But for things like Christmas trees, you don't want it hollow all the way through. So it's important to choose the right tip that will stay solid for you and give you a Christmas tree. So again, when we're done with these cupcakes, you should have a great combination of Christmas, we'll do some Hanukkah stuff, we'll do some fall stuff, some New Year's Eve, and as we look at the display here, it should slowly build as we go. I love this green for Christmas trees. We do have other greens available as well. We have a nice leaf green and other colors, but this one I just feel like I didn't need to touch it all. I didn't need to mix my own color. I could just use it right out of the tub, which is always nice to have that in your shop when you can just pull something out of a tub instead of having to mess with it yourself or color match. So you can see just the back and forth, back and forth. The key too with this is to use pressure in your hand the entire time. So it's not like a rosette where you decrease or increase the pressure in your hand. Pressure's all the way there until you get to this last spot. No pressure, lift right up. If you weren't to do it like that, it won't come out evenly and your ruffles wouldn't be even like this. So if here I'm putting pressure and then if I were to stop, it immediately stops moving and I don't get a beautiful ruffle then. See, even that one with continuing my pressure, the ruffle won't look correct. So that is our Christmas tree cupcake. Off we go. All right, we are gonna move this one over here then. And for the last of our cupcakes today, we're gonna do a candy cane cupcake. So this one uses our Baker's Request vanilla cake mix. Other than my Christmas tree, same classic liner. And then we've got a couple of things going on right here. I have my classic white exceptional buttercream, but this one I have mixed a little bit of peppermint into. So we do have a DDA peppermint extract. Some DCs or some distribution centers also sell peppermint oil. They will both work, so it's really personal preference. And I just mix it in to taste. So this has had peppermint added into it, as has this one. My bag next to me does not. This is red, so this is our Dawn Exceptional Red right out of the tube. And the reason I don't have any piping bags made is because I wanted to show you how I make my piping bags. Here's one that's pre-done. When we did this demo at IBIE, I wasn't planning on building bags. And as we were prepping, I had some team members making bags for me, and I kept having to stop them saying, that's not right, it's not how I want it. And they were like, well, chef, maybe you should just show us how you want it. So figured I'd do that. So there's lots of different ways to put bags together. If you look at, for example, that winter inspiration guide that goes through fall, you'll see succulent cupcakes. And I make the tips on those by painting the bag. I can paint buttercream in and I get different effects. In this case though, I really want it to look like a candy cane. So I want to see thin, clear red stripes that twirl around and look just like a candy cane or a barbershop, kind of those little twirly things that they have. And if I try to paint my bag or bring it in with spatula, I will get faded red. Like that works great for a rose tip. It doesn't work well for what I'm doing here. So here's what I've got here. I've got a really open, large star tip. And then the bag is going to get 3 stripes. So I've just got my red here. When I cut this, especially when you're striping bags, the piping bag is going to have a little seam on the side. Trim that. So we're going to trim that, and then we're going to take it over. And the reason I do that is so that this trim down the side doesn't drag through my buttercream and muddy it up. So no muddying. Now for me, I always choke up on my bag so I have a little more control. If you can control a bag that large, good for you. So this is how I do it. So anyway, I'm going to put 3 solid stripes up the middle of the bag. It's important when you do this, I'll show you here, not to go too far into the tip. So don't go too far into the tip when you do that. And we're going to put them in 3 different spots. See, there's 2. And now I'm going to tip it towards me for 3. If you do too much towards the tip, you'll have to just pour a bunch of the buttercream out because all you'll get is red at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. And while that's here, I'm going to cut a much bigger one of my white peppermint. And my assistant here, Danielle, always laughs at me because I do this by myself. And she's always like, I can help you. And I'm like, listen, you don't always have somebody helping you. You should learn how to do this yourself. And then they laugh at me. But that's what we're going to do here today as well. So in this case, same thing. I'm just going to have the bag. I'm going to try to control the big one. And I'm going to stick it as far as I can into here. And I'm going to start filling it with my peppermint white icing. If I make this bag dirty, it's fine. I can always clean the outside of it. There we go. See that? Okay. And in this way then, when I pull this back up, I have a bag that's perfectly striped. Now, I also happen to have a dirty hand, so we're gonna have to fix that before we move on because nothing's worse than having a piping bag with buttercream on the outside of it. It'll get greasy and you won't have any control over it anymore. So take the time to clean it. If you also notice too, I never overfill my bag, only halfway up, otherwise I'll make a mess. So here we are. And what I'm gonna do, I hope you can, actually I'm gonna move this around so you can see this next to me. Before I pull any buttercream out, I'm gonna make sure I like the way it swirls before I hit a cupcake with it. So around, yep, that's pretty. Off we go. Make sure to do that because sometimes when it first comes out, it's not quite where you want it. So this one, because my tip is so much more open than my other little one for my gingerbread, I don't need to fill the negative space in the middle because my tip will do it for me. So 1, 2, 3, when you get to the end, this is a common mistake I see, you get to the end and go this way, use that motion and bring it all the way around so that your little twirl there never stops, okay? And a candy cane. Isn't that so cute? All right, I'm gonna do that again. So watch as I move it around, like 1, 2, 3, and then continue the motion. If I were to stop the motion, I'll show you on one like this. 1, 2, oh, I'm done. See the difference? One looks finished and one looks like I didn't quite take time on the cupcake. And so it's just that little flick of the wrist makes such a difference on your finished case. So I'm gonna put this one away because we don't like the look of that one. And I'm gonna continue working with these ones right here. All right, so we're gonna go around and around again. Maybe I'll put them on at the end because I wanna try to pipe as quickly as I can, again, to show you how much you can do really in an hour. Now, of course I had these baked and cooled, but these cupcakes should be beautiful and look festive and be really easy to put in your shop window as quickly as possible. And you can see how clean my bag is, that those colors aren't going to muddy, and that's because I took the time to put them in that way. And I will be able to use this bag all the way till the end without any muddying of color. Now, the caveat is, once it's out, it's out. We're going to clean the tip and we're going to start a new bag. to kind of show you that this is a bag from yesterday. And as long as you don't choke up on it and just use it till the end, it'll stay clean, it'll stay beautiful. No real problems with that. I'm going to finish up these last couple right here just so that we can have all of them done. I know I had some requests for the in-studio team for peppermint buttercream, so we just have to make sure we have enough for everybody. But as you can see, one bag can go quite a long way. If you really don't want to have this much icing on a cupcake, and I don't know who wouldn't want this much candy cane icing on a cupcake, you could do a smaller tip, but I think this one's just fine. All right, we'll put a few more candy canes on here. And then we will put them up for display. So you guys are probably hearing or maybe not, I don't know. You might be hearing the microwave going right now, and that's gonna be Danielle heating up chocolate for cake pops, which is what we're doing next. All right, so if you look here now, we have a Christmas and fall display of cupcakes, and honestly, you can serve pumpkin at Christmas time as well. All right, can we see those up there? They look pretty, huh? All right, so those are gonna be our cupcakes. Gorgeous. All right, so 4 varieties of cupcakes, less than half an hour, along with me just talking away at you. Not so bad. I think we can do this in our shops, right? Okay, so we are gonna do cake pops next. Thank you. This is a big one. Here, let's set it right here. Okay, so for my cake pops, I'm using cakes that we baked yesterday. I would encourage you in your own shop. So, and this is what I do if I'm not just making cakes for a demo. I actually overfill my pans on purpose because I like to have a nice dome. It allows me to bake thicker layers. As we know, high cakes are trending. And then I just freeze all the bellies. And when I have enough, then I run a cake pop special. You could also do that all the time and just have them ready to go. Depends on how many cake pops your shop sells. So, in this case, I've got baked vanilla cake. You can use whatever you like. So I've got these items. I've got some buttercream over there, and we'll kind of get to the rest of the mise en place in a moment. Mise en place, I'm sure many of you know what it means, is a chef word for everything in its place. So if you hear me saying your mise or your mise en place, that's just one too many years of fine dining, and I did my pastry training in Europe, so it never goes away. All right, so we're gonna make the filling. In this case, I do the filling in a, here we go, in a food processor. So we definitely have a recipe for this online for your cake pops. I tend to eyeball it, which is, you know, the worst thing we can say that a baker does, but that's what I do. The key with cake pops is not to put too much buttercream in. Cake pops will crack for 2 reasons. 1, too much buttercream, or 2, the chocolate that you're using isn't sticking, it's too soft and they can't handle the pressure from the inside going. So in this case, I'm gonna put just a little bit of buttercream, and I'll talk to you about the melts that I use. So this is about a 10-ounce baked cake round. I believe it was probably, I don't know, 12 ounces or something going into the oven. I'm not really certain, but it's 10 ounces when it comes out. So I'm just gonna put this in the basket of my food processor, and into that, I put about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of buttercream. Usually what I use is my crumb coat buttercream. We've all got buttercream hanging around our bake shops from crumb coating, and hang on to it. Use it in your cake pops. You can use your leftover cake in your cake pops. You can use your leftover buttercream in your cake pops. It's all gonna work. So we're gonna go ahead and pulse it, or not. Let's make sure this thing was put together. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and try that again. There we go. So it's gonna get into really beautiful crumbs, and I'm gonna let it go until the buttercream goes through. Like I said, the biggest first mistake that I see in these things is way too much buttercream or filling. If I'm making cake pops, for example, with brownies, I don't need any buttercream at all. They're moist enough that I just need to ground them up and put them together. So once it looks kind of like cookie dough, and I'm gonna show this to you here. Can you guys see that? Okay, so we can see that it's wet, but it's not quite together. That's actually perfect. That's when we're gonna take it off the machine, and it's gonna go right into our bowl. Okay, after it's in the bowl is when we're gonna knead it a little bit, kind of like bread dough actually. So we're gonna take it, We're going to knead it around a little bit. It shouldn't take much to stick together. And once it's all together, this is how we're going to use our cake pops. If you were going to flavor them, they needed to go in the other stage. So if I was going to make them peppermint, like for example for candy cane, it would go in at the other stage. Otherwise, it won't mix well enough. So as you can see now, it looks just like dough. So now we have a cake pop dough. At this point, you can scoop it or you can chill it down a little bit. I am going to show you what my cake pop dough from yesterday looked like. You can see this right here, very similar. So I chilled this overnight. Danielle, I'm going to move these over just a minute, hon. That way we have a little space. Here we go. And if I can have one of those pans too, we will scoop some of these cake pops. So it's better to let it chill a little bit. You can see that this is holding a little bit nicer, but they would both work to scoop. In fact, I'll show you how they both scoop differently. I use a purple scoop, the smallest one I have in my shop. You might have smaller ones for truffles. I think this is a nice size for cake pops. Nobody wants them to be too small. Okay, you want to show them the cake pop? Awesome. All right, so this is when we haven't let it chill. We still have a little bit of empty space. Okay, once we've let it chill, I just get a little bit cleaner, but they both will work. So you can see here, these cake pops, look at that gorgeous size. So this is from a purple scoop. They're pretty, they're round. It's a really nice serving size. Okay, so we're gonna scoop them. We will round them. And I'll just scoop a few more so that we have a couple to work with here. The biggest thing that I like to do with these as I'm scooping, and you'll see this here, if it comes up like this, use the heel of your hand and flatten it out so that all of your pops are exactly the same size. Nothing's worse than having things in your mirror and they're the wrong size. Or, you know, one's bigger than the other and that's all your customers want are the large ones. So once these are, yeah, there we go. Okay. One cake generally gets me 12. So FYI, one cake gets me 12 purple scoops. So if you're looking for yields, that's how it works for me. If your scoop is a different size, it will be a different size for you. So I'm going to roll them in my hands to get a nice, pretty circle. If you worked with old school chocolate chefs, I used to work for a chef that could do 2 of these in his hands at once, but I am not that good. So I'm going to do one at a time, and we're going to call it good. So once we have rolled them, this is when they need to go into the refrigerator or the freezer, depending on the quality of your cooler. So put them in the cooler a couple hours overnight. And by the magic of my friend Danielle here, we have some cold ones right here ready to go for you. So the key with these is not to just stick in the stick and dip it. When you do that, I'm sure we've all done this before, right? Then after a while, if it's sitting in your display case, you start to slowly move down, and eventually you have like a cake pop down here and the stick's up here. It doesn't work very well. So what we want to do is make sure that we have some glue for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stick and I'm going to insert it in the cake pop just a little ways, just to make a little hole. And then I am going to take and dip it into my white chocolate and then place it in here. And in this way, see that? It's going to glue it in. The nice part about that as well is that when I'm working with a nice cold cake ball, it's going to set the chocolate right away for me. So I'm going to put it in, it's going to set it, and it's going to be ready to go. So these are my Hanukkah cake pops, by the way. Oops, I should have done that in the other order, which is why you're going to see the blue and the white. So I moved to Dawn Foods to Jackson, Michigan for this position from Chicago, Illinois, and where my neighborhood, we had lots of Hanukkah decorations and Christmas decorations. So we like to have a little bit for everybody, but I always loved their blue and their white. It sure is pretty. So we're going to keep kind of moving with this. And the way that I get those colors and those sparkling colors is, I'm going to show you in just a moment, is using a couple different kinds of chocolate. And let's do that again. A couple different kinds of chocolate and several different kinds of sprinkles and sugar. Now you can do, as you know, cake pops with anything you like. In this case, I want to make sure that I'm doing them in a way that is simple and looks really fancy and beautiful and also doesn't cost too much, so that if I'm already putting the labor into this in my shop, I can sell it for a profit. So we are almost there with these pops, but I want to get enough of these done to show you how to make them several different varieties. So can they see these ones right here, guys? The ones that are on display? Can't see those. Okay, perfect. All right. So these display items here have our chocolate, and then they are rolled in different kinds of sugars. And that's how I get the really pretty kind of high-end design that you see there. And we sell all of them, like I keep saying, but those ones are a couple different kinds of sugar. So let's go into that. All right. So we have all of our cake pops dipped and made. I use, oh, where did it go? I use, for these ones, some Van Leer melts. And one of the things that I like about these particular melts, here we go, thank you, is that if you look at them, they're really shallow, which means that the pistoles, these are called pistoles, chocolate and the shape is pistole, is that when they're really thick, they take a long time to melt. And sometimes the outside can be overheated before the inside is melted. When we have these nice thin ones like this, they melt at a cleaner rate, which actually keeps the temperature down on your candy melt, and it'll give you a cleaner dip. So something that sounds so silly, like how high is my pistol? Like it matters. And these work really nicely. Now these again are the wafers, so they don't have to be tempered. So you can just melt and go, but really, really nice stuff. So that's what I've used here. And I've got, this is them melted, right? So that's what you were seeing me dip into. So I've got white here. And the other color that I've got going on is a blue. And this blue, I did use a cocoa butter color for, but the nice part about these Van Leer melts, the nice part about these Van Leer melts is that you don't have to use a cocoa butter color in them. You can use our regular Chef Master gel colors and they'll mix and be beautiful for you anyway. So you don't have to get in something special for it. You can just get your regular food coloring in it. And I say that because an awful lot of melts and an awful lot of chocolate, if you try to put a classic food coloring in it, it'll come out grainy. And the reason for that is that your chocolate or your melt, whether it's a classic couverture with cocoa butter or a melt like this where they've replaced the cocoa butter with a tropical oil, that's why you get away with not tempering it, right? Is that you're mixing oil and water. Your food coloring is water-based, and that's why you get like the little lumps. So if you're using classic chocolate, actually, if you put water in it, it'll seize up, and the same thing happens with those food colorings. This is unique on the market, and that it's the only one that doesn't do that. So obviously, that's why I like using it. But you could use a cocoa butter color if you like. These are just easier because they're what you would use for your colorings for your donut toppings, your cupcake toppings, whatever the case may be. Okay, so the way that I get that pretty finish on those is 4 different ways. So these are my white sugars. This right here is my DDA white sanding sugar. So this is a price fighter. It's really kind of just like a granulated sugar, where the crystals are a little larger than a typical granulated sugar. So that is what I use for these ones right here. Can I see those as I'm pointing at them? So that's for this one. The second sugar that I'll use in my white chocolate, this is a King Blandings white sanding sugar that's even larger crystal. And the reason that I use 2 different things is because having those textures makes your display look more interesting, more visually appealing. So if I take these and I put them side by side, they're white chocolate, they're the same filling. They're white chocolate, they're the same filling. This one is a large grain, this one is a small grain, and they're both beautiful, and next to each other, they make your display look even nicer and higher end. So I'm gonna put these back in. Oh, shoot. The name of the chocolate melts, Van Leer is the brand, and they're called Shine. So Van Leer, I believe, is owned by Barry Callebaut, but those are the ones I like. So, and they are set up in the Dawn system, so I would hope they have them in your distribution center. If they don't, let your sales rep know and get them in for you. Yep, I can move. Okay, all right. Yes, okay. So other things that we need for this, as you can see Danielle working with, is floral foam. You can definitely buy dippers, but floral foam is fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working with the white ones first here. I'll do one and then I'll kind of hand it to her. So we like to double dip. I double dip because no matter how careful I am, and I try to be pretty darn careful, what can happen is that, you know, liquids expand when they freeze, right? And then when they go back to room temperature, like water, like it'll change its thickness. And that's some of the other things that can cause cracking. Shoot, another question. That I would have to ask your sales rep on. So I think what we can do is you've got the Sweetest Bakery in America email, shoot that over there and we'll make sure to get your question dialed in. I'm uncertain about your exact location, but we can get that for you. So even on these ones, as you're seeing, oh, maybe they won't crack for me. You may get a little bit of a crack and that's okay because we're gonna double dip and then we're gonna sugar. So the key thing is you're seeing me going in and out, right? I'm not just dipping once, you see me bopping away at it. And I'm doing that for a reason. That's called a dipping motion. And with chocolate, specifically, when I dip in, if I wave it around like I do a donut, it actually won't take it off the outside. It needs to grip, like the bowl, the chocolate in the bowl actually needs to grip what's on your bonbon or your cake pop or whatever that is, and that will pull it back off. Where if I'm dipping a donut, for example, I'm going to dip it in and I'm going to shake it and it's going to be fine. Chocolate doesn't work like that. And so because chocolate doesn't work like that, we have to treat it differently. So when I'm dipping, I swirl it around, dipping motion, in and out. And what that does is that drags the excess off and makes it pretty, right? So if you're making bonbons near a cake shop, you're going to use the same technique I just showed you. Let's see, we've got 5 whites so far. Let's do one more. Okay. All right, so we'll do one more like this, and then we're going to start double dipping here. Okay, so we've got our first layer on. You can see how pretty that is. A lot of folks stop after this first layer, and like I said, I don't, because I want to be beyond the shadow of a doubt that I'm not going to have cracking, and these guys are going to last in my shop all day long. The ones that I have here have lasted all day long. I believe we dipped them this morning. All right, so we're not rolling. I hope you guys see my hands? We're not going to roll this in the sugar. It'll ruin the beautiful round finish on it. What I'm doing is I'm sprinkling over it, and I'm sprinkling it over a bowl because I want to save all the standing sugar. What I don't want to have is a bunch of waste at the end of my day. So I'm going to work over a bowl and then later put it back in, right? And I'm sprinkling it over the top so that it stays perfectly round and pretty. Can we see that? Perfectly round, gorgeous. That's where we're going with that. All right, so I'm going to start working a little faster. Danielle's going to hang out next to me, and we're going to do a couple of these. All right, so we are going to go do 2 more like this, and then we'll do the other one next to it. All right, so I need to start speeding up, don't I, guys? All right, team, you're not telling me I got to go faster. All right, let's do it. We're going to go really quick. So we will do 2 more in this color, and then I will do a couple blue ones. Actually, you know what? We'll just dip those ones in blue so that they can see them next to each other so we can move on to the cake, because everybody wants to see the cake, right? Of course, we all like cakes. All right, so let's do this guy in here. All right, and these ones I'm going to dip in blue. Normally I would do the first batch also in blue, but for sake of time we're going to just go ahead and throw the white one in the blue. And this blue, look at that gorgeous color. And so once I get my blue through, now I'm going to start using, there we go, come on little friend. Now we're going to use our blue sugars. Let that round for a minute. All right, do we have another bowl so we don't mix them? All right, we'll twirl this for a moment while we get another bowl, or do it right over top of it. How about that? All right, so again, we're sprinkling so that we keep the shape intact. The big key then is also the top. Sometimes when you're sprinkling, see I've got an empty spot, it's easy to forget about the spots or to have a little bald spot on it. We don't want to have a bald spot. We want to move it all the way around. Let's see here. Let's do my King Blings one. I love these large grain sugars. They're so pretty. We sell them in a couple of different colors. For Hanukkah, they're gorgeous. They're also really pretty for Valentine's Day, graduations. If you didn't want to buy one that's pre-colored, you can color standing sugar yourself. Just get in the larger grain, put it in a bag, and with some gel color. The key is that if you're coloring it, it's got to be with a gel color. Put it in a Ziploc bag, move it around. Ooh, I'm moving too fast for this little friend. Move it around a little bit, and you'll be able to color your own. I like this one because it's almost silvery, and I think it looks really pretty all together. Okay, can we see those? Everybody's got them? Okay, so those are Hanukkah cake pops in different textures. You can do them in any color you like. Any standing sugar works. The key to these and the secret is to make sure that whatever color you're going into, the chocolate is that color underneath. So blue goes to blue, white goes to white. I've had folks that have said, no, I want to switch it up, and every time they do, it just turns out brown. So if you did like, you know, a red dip and then green on top, it sounds like a good Christmas idea, but really it's just going to be brown, and then they're going to wonder why it's not chocolate. So just keep like colors together and it's going to work out great for you. All right, so we are going to move on to the cake. All right, so I'm going to try to speed up a little bit here for you and also clean my spot because nobody wants to have blue sugar in a New Year's Eve cake, right? Okay, so let me move this over. Actually, can you still see if I move these over here, guys? Perfect. Okay, so for my cake, I've got an 8-inch cake and a 9-inch cake circle. So 9-inch cake circle, 8-inch cake. I'm just going to start building this. So this is my New Year's Eve strawberry and champagne cake. What I've done with my buttercream, and again, this is the exceptional rich flavor buttercream, is I've mixed just a little bit of champagne flavoring into it. I do that rather than using real champagne for a couple of reasons. One, if somebody doesn't drink, you don't have to worry about it. And two, because if I put straight champagne in there, it's full of so much moisture that I'm going to have to put so much in my buttercream to get the flavor. I'm going to completely dilute the flavor, and it's not going to work very well. So here we go. So here, this goes here. Next, I am going to dam in my filling. So again, we're gonna bring this right around the edge. Right around the edge. And I'm doing this because I'm going to have a perfectly clean white cake. And what I don't want is my strawberry filling bleeding through. So I've got to do something on the outside to make sure it doesn't move in there. Now, my filling here, I'm actually using a balance line filling on this one, is strawberry. And what I love about the balance line is you can see those beautiful pieces of strawberries in it. It tastes just like a homemade strawberry jam, which I absolutely love. So it feels like this kind of decadent strawberry filling. So it comes out of a tub, but it just feels really, really high-end and delicious. So you can see those big pieces of strawberries. You can smell it. I wish you guys were here and I had smell-o-vision because it smells really good. So strawberry and champagne. So as I continue to build here, we're going to put another layer on. I always turn it over so that my bellies are kissing. We're going to dam in the sides. You can see how I choke up on the bag and rest it on my arm. I do that so that if I hold it like here, my hand will get really tired, and halfway through my day, I won't be able to pipe anymore. I'll lose all the strength in my hand. So if I hold it on my arm like that, I get twice as much use out of my arm while I'm decorating. All right, so we're gonna bring this around and put the top on. The key for cakes like this, as most of you know, is your internal support system. You can use whatever you like for your internal support system. Today, I'm gonna be using cake pop sticks because I had a bunch of them. Straws work, all sorts of things work, really kind of whatever you like the best. But before I put them in, I just want to put a little bit of icing on the top. There we go. So I can see how deep they need to go. All right. We'll leave that with me. Okay, so we're gonna do them around the edges. Some people only put supports in the middle, and that's fine for a tiered cake. I'm not tiering this cake. I want the supports on the outside so that as I draw my my spatula around the outside of the cake, it stays as steady as possible. The nice part about our Dawn mixes is that they're really soft and moist. The hard part about our Dawn mixes is they're really soft and really moist, so you've got to have an internal support structure in them. So I'm just going to take that, measure them, and build them. And now I don't do this ahead of time because I'm never sure exactly how tall my cake is going to be. So I just take a few minutes and measure them each time I do this. All right, so I've been trying not to put on gloves because the team here hates it when I have on big giant blue gloves, but I'm gonna make my hands messy, so I'm gonna wear them anyway. So here we go. We're gonna put these in around the edges now. And when you do this, you're gonna get buttercream all over your fingertips. So you can wear gloves, you could not wear gloves and wash your hands. I don't know, I don't think I have a sink right next to me. It's a little too far away, so right here. Okay, the nice part about that is then I just take my gloves off and I'm ready to go. So we're going to crumb coat this little friend. And after it's crumb coated, we want to make sure that we have let it set up a little bit because of that filling is so delicious. And it's moist and it's formulated to be moist and hang out. It's going to need some time to set up and some time to settle. If you have problems with your cakes bowing after you decorate them, or if you have problems with bubbles, chances are it's because you haven't let the cake settle. So after you've built it, if you have time in your shop to let it hang out overnight, let it hang out overnight. It needs that time to settle before you come in and smooth ice. If you don't have that time, try to at least let your layers hang out overnight so that any settling that's going to occur happens before you get that smooth ice on, because nothing is worse than getting that smooth ice or that fondant on and then finding a bubble the next day before your event or you're delivering the wedding cake or whatever else. That's a terrible feeling to have. Nobody wants you to deal with it. All right, so you can see for my crumb coating, bringing it on, taking it off as quick as I can, and around the edges I can get 2 swipes. 1, 2. Ready? 1, 2. And just like that, we have a stacked crumb coated cake, right? Just try to make sure that it's always up and down, straightforward, so I don't have to fix it later. Okay, through the magic of TV, look at that. I have a cake that's ready to go. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna switch out my buttercream bowl, because what I don't want is crumb coated buttercream. So this is the buttercream now I use. So this is the buttercream I now use for crumb coating other cakes or cake pops or something else. It's not what I'm going to use for smooth icing. So this has got to go away along with my filling. There we go. And look at that, fresh buttercream. I love it. All right. So when you go to add the final icing on, there's lots of opinions on whether you do the side first, whether you do the top first. I don't care if you put the side or the top on. All I care about is it not going to show crumbs. So whatever you feel comfortable doing, that's what you should do. The key for me for smooth icing is getting that picture perfect edge on your icing. And how do we do that? So there's a couple of different methods. I'm going to show you 2 today. So one, I'm going to show you a hot edge with a wet knife, and the other one I'm going to show you is with a torch. And I was joking around with these guys here, like I didn't know that using a torch was such a big thing, but apparently I have a thing for fire and I use a torch on everything. And so I thought I'd show you on buttercream. You know, buttercream that we use here is a shortening base because it's our Dawn brand. And so it acts a little different than butter. So it's almost like a different skill to use one of these. But if you can see, we're going to slap that on quickly. Once that is on, can we see it better now? Okay, good deal. Okay, so I'm going to have a clean towel next to me. I'm going to put just a touch more on the top here, just to bring it around, make sure I've got a nice clean top. Okay, and there we go. I'm assuming, Danielle, we have hot water over there that's coming for me now. All right, so she's going to bring some hot water. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a general outline of the outside of the cake. And anywhere that I see kind of a hole like this, I'm going to go back in and patch it. As soon as I've got that done, which is just about now, we're going to go back in with hot water. If the hot water doesn't do it, I'll hit it with a torch. I'm probably just going to show you how to use the torch anyway. Now, I always have all of the products I'm working with on one side of the cake. That may seem anal retentive, but it means that I've always got a clean surface to work with. Okay, hot, straight up and down. All right, we're going to do it again. Hot, straight up and down, and bring it around this way. Oh, the water's not real hot though, is it? Yeah, they didn't tell me the water wasn't very hot. Let's show you how to do that with a torch then, shall we? Okay, so if, like me, you have water that isn't very hot, you can use a torch instead. So you're just going to heat it up. Okay. Once this is hot, and it is hot, don't touch it with your hands. It'll hurt you. Now we're going to bring it right around. Look at that. That looks nice, huh? All right, so we're going to always go in the water in between anyways. We're going to do that one more time, and I'm going to show you how to decorate the top of this cake without smooth icing the edges, since we just have a few moments left on our day. So we're going to bring that around the rest of the sides very quickly. Okay, sides are done. Bring it up. And now we are going to do the top level. So I always get 2 swipes out of my spatula here. Rinse it off. It does not need to be hot for the corners. Just 1 swipe and then flip it over in another swipe. Okay, we're gonna go do that 2 more times and this cake will be just about smooth iced. All right. All right, once I have my corners done, there we go. We're gonna go back in and we'll clean up the bottom a little bit like this. And then we're ready to decorate the cake. So let's find where we like our front. I think this is the front. What do you guys think? This works? Okay, looks good. Perfect. So once that is done, this is an actual New Year's Eve, a version of a drip cake. And when I say version of a drip cake, what I mean is that we've got drip cakes. They're popular everywhere. They're nice. But sometimes I want something a little more elevated for New Year's Eve. So I've got my champagne and my icing. I've got my strawberry in between. What goes better with strawberry and champagne than chocolate? Nothing. So we've got our chocolate. This is actually our donut flat icing. It makes a really good drip. That's what I like to use for it. Just make sure it's nice and warm. And there we go. Can I have an upside down deli, Danielle? When I do drips, I always test them before they go on my cake. So you see she's on it. So again, just like I did before, we're going to trim the side so I don't get any drag through my final tip, then bring it right over, right? And before I do anything, I want something that has a similar pitch to a cake. So I'm going to test it on one of these little friends first. Make sure I like the way it drips. Then I can react before it gets on my cake. I can cool it down. I can heat it up, whatever it is that I want to do. All right, so let's look at that one. Let's see. Do we like the way it's dripping? I don't know. I think that looks pretty good. I think we like the way it's dripping. So we're going to find our front. We're going to drip it. On the last one, we're going to bring it straight back. Do that on the other side because this is an elevated drip cake where it's only a small stripe up the middle. We're going to leave the rest of it as is. So I'm filling it in now with my chocolate. And now our decorations are going to focus only on this chocolate drip, and we're going to use the negative space of the cake in between. Can I have one of those little offset spatulas? I got a little chocolate chip here we got to fix. One of the little guys. All right, so while we're waiting for that, we are going to go ahead and start, there we go, start decorating. See, I did my piping bag over the cake. We got to fix that real quick. There we go. All right, so once this is on, then we're going to decorate this cake with macarons. We've got the Cocoa Bakery macarons, our winter collection. I believe these ones are red velvet. I think I'm using strawberry as well, some strawberries, and I'm actually using a Valentine's sprinkle mix, which looks really nice for New Year's Eve, but it also works really well for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to try to decorate facing you here. Let's see how I do with that. So we're going to stay in our chocolate with our macarons. Staying inside the chocolate. We'll do a couple of macarons. I've got a couple of halved macarons as well. Now, the nice part about these macarons is that they come in frozen. And so then you can pull them out as you need them. They're not going to get stale in your bakery. And also, then you can cut them while they're frozen, and they cut a lot nicer when they're frozen. So you can just use it like that. Okay, once those are in, now we're going to start adding strawberries. So do some whole, do some halved. Cut in half strawberry looks really fancy just because it's cut in half. I don't really know why that is. It just does. Any berry looks fancy when you cut it in half. As soon as you see the internal spot like this, there we go, big one and a little one. That's kind of fun, right? Then it looks good. If you look at that cake and go, you know, I kind of want something in the front, just take one of your macarons, pull it apart, stick one right there. That's pretty, isn't it? Okay, and last but not least then, we're going to put our sprinkles on the top, and I'm going to put some sprinkles around the sides. We're just going to go right up a little bit. So hopefully I don't make too much of a mess because these are probably being a little bit bigger bowl, but that's okay. We're just decorating because it's the end of my day. And we're going to bring these right around. And once we get the sprinkles around the sides of the cake, I think that's enough for today. We're going to set it right here. Let's see, a few more. And there you have a New Year's Eve cake. All right, did I make it on time? 40 seconds. Awesome. Are there any other questions we have out there about anything we've done today? Great. Well, I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys and making some cakes for you. I hope you liked it too. And if you have any questions or want any more information, reach out to your Dawn sales rep or the Sweetest Bakery in America email. And you will be getting a follow-up email after this webinar that's going to include the link to the recorded webinar, your holiday rebate, as well as the inspiration guides where all these recipes came from, and information on how to be a Dawn Foods customer. Thanks so much.